Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Some of you guys asked me to explain the backdoor cadences. What's a backdoor cadence? Well, the idea is that rather than playing the usual cadence in a major scale, which is 2-5-1, which in C major is D minor 7, G, 7, dominant, and C. Some people figure out that you can play something slightly different and it works pretty much the same, and it points all the chord progression back to the C chord, to the first chord of the key. And this other chord progression will be to play an F minor 7 and B flat dominant 7, C major. So if I play both progression, it sounds this way. Okay, so why the first chord progression works, it's known, it's basic music theory. It's because when you play a 2-5-1, you follow the circle of fifth if you want, or just because the fifth chord of the key always point you back to the first chord of the key. But how about the other one? Well, it turns out that there's not only one backdoor cadence, or at least this is called the backdoor cadence, this B flat to C, B flat 7 to C is called the backdoor cadence, but there are other dominant chords that take you back to the first chord. So I'm going to ignore the F minor 7 for a moment, even if it sounds great. I'm just going to concentrate on the dominant chord, and I'm going to see how different dominant chords take you back to the C major. And you know what's the beauty of all this? Is that the theory will be so simple at the end that you will be able to do this directly on your fretboard without doing any kind of calculation, because it's all taking a chord shape and moving fingers up or down one fret. It's beautiful. So where do we start? Well, we start by taking a B diminished 7th chord. And whoa, I know it's a technical statement, but a B diminished 7th chord, it's a very easy chord. It's something like that. Okay. The shape I'm using right now is this one. So on the 5th string, fret number 2, on the 4th string, fret number 3, on the 3rd string, fret number 1, and on the 2nd string, fret number 3. And the diminished 7th chord has this thing that if I move it up and down 3 frets, it's the same chord. So this is the same as this, it's the same as this, and it's the same as this. And I don't want to explain all the theory behind that right now, but just saying that the diminished chord, I can move it up and down 3 frets, and it's the same chord. So you're going to see in a moment why this diminished chord is important, okay? But the first thing to notice is that if I play my C major, then let's say F major, then this diminished chord takes me back to the C major. You can hear it. Wants to come back. Okay? And as usual, it's not the chord that wants to come back, it's your ear that wants the chord to come back, but it's easier to say that the chords want to come back there. Make sense so far? So, this chord is interesting because we can take this B diminished 7th chord, and when we move any of its notes up or down 1 fret, I get another chord that sounds different, but still takes me back to C major. Oh God, this is probably complex if you think about it right now. The first time they told this to me, my mind exploded. Okay, so I'll say it again. You have this B diminished 7th chord, and you move any of those notes up or down 1 fret, and the resulting chord takes you back to C major. Let me just play a few of those as they are, and then I'll explain you exactly what's going on. So let's say C major, B diminished, and C major. Right? Now, I'm altering this B diminished by lowering 1 note. Let's say I'm lowering the bass note here. Okay, so I get this now. And the pull is really strong. Okay, or I can lower the second lowest note here and taking down 1 fret. Still works, or I can lower the next note works, so I can lower the top note. Still works. The pull is a bit less strong on this one, but it works pretty well. Or I can raise any of those notes, okay? So I can just raise the bottom note by 1 fret. This will work best in a chord progression like I'm just playing C, F major, this other mystery chord, and back to C major. Okay? I can go on with all the chords, okay? I'm gonna do them again in a moment with a bit more analytic precision, okay? So what is happening? Well, again, the main chord, in a sense, that takes you back to C major, it's this B diminished 7th. When you raise or lower a note by just 1 fret, the other 3 notes of the chord are still there, and so the overall idea of the chord taking you back to C major, it's still alive, okay? It's still true. But changing one of those notes, up or down 1 fret, changes the whole flavor of the chord. Now, here's the beautiful thing about diminished chords. You take this diminished 7th chord. If you lower one of those notes, you are getting a dominant 7th chord, which is already a technical statement. So, let me show you that. This chord is B diminished 7th chord, and I'm completely gonna misspell it, okay? So I don't care if to use the correct sharp or flat here. I just want everything to be clear. So I'm gonna spell this chord this way. I'm gonna spell it as B, D, F, A flat, okay? If I lower one of those notes, I get a dominant chord. Let's lower the A flat. If I lower the A, and the A flat is here on the 4th string, if I lower this A flat down to a G, again, only 1 fret, okay, the chord I get has notes, rather than being B, D, F, A flat, is now B, D, F, G. I reorder those notes and I write it as G, B, D, F. This is a G7th chord, which is the 5th chord in C, and this takes you back, as we know, to C major. So we found a chord we already know. This is the 5th of the key. Great. What if we lower another note in all these diminished chords? So again, B, D, F, A flat. Let's lower the B down to a B flat. So if I do that, okay, I have a B flat, D, F, A flat, which is a B flat dominant 7th, which we've seen before was taking us back to the C major chord, and it's the backdoor cadence. Interesting how those two chords are connected, I mean G7 and B flat 7 are connected by being very closely related to the B diminished 7th chord. There's more to it. Again, B, D, F, A flat. I can take the D note down to a D flat, and now I have D flat, F, A flat, B. And respelling a few of those notes, this chord becomes a D flat dominant 7 chord. So, which would be this. And again, this chord, this D flat 7, takes you back to C major. Now, if you ask most jazz players about this specific chord, this D flat 7 going to a C major, they're going to tell you that this is a tritone substitution, okay? Which is great. It's not wrong to say it's a tritone substitution, but again, it's much easier to think of this as altering this B diminished 7 rather than thinking about the whole complexities of the tritone substitution. I have just this diminished chord, and I just lower the note, and back to C major. Simple so far. The other chord that is left is the one where we take the B diminished 7 and we lower the F. So, B, D, F, A flat, lower the F down a half step. We have E, A flat, which I'm going to respell as G sharp, B, D, that's an E7th chord. Again, this is the one with less pull, but it still works, and I could play again C major, then F major, 7th, okay. So again, C major, F major 7th, my E7th, and C major. And it works. beautifully. So this happens if you take this B diminished 7th chord and you lower one of those notes. And again, you don't have to do all the mental calculation of all the notes. You just find this position here, and again, every time you can move up or down 3 frets. Wait, yep. Okay, and then you just lower one of those notes. But I said you could also raise one of those notes, and this makes even more interesting chords, okay? When you raise, if you take a fully diminished 7th chord, and you raise one note by 1 fret, you get a half diminished chord. So for instance, if I take this B diminished 7th, okay, and I raise, let's say, the A flat to an A, getting this, I get a B, half diminished chord, B, D, F, A. This chord still takes you to C major. So I could play C major, F, this B, half diminished 7th, and back to C. It's a bit of a contortion to play this. But sonically it works, okay? Again, a bit of a contortion, that's a shape you need to learn, but it works. And again, I can raise any other of those notes, and I get a different diminished chord every time. So I can take this D note here, raise it to an E flat, and I get an F half diminished 7th chord. And again, now I'm gonna play again C major, F, then this F half diminished, and C, and you can hear that this chord takes me back to C. It's great. You would never expect the F half diminished 7 to do that. I mean, it would require a certain mental contortion if you use the normal chordal theory to understand that this takes you back there. But again, I'm just taking this B diminished 7 and raising or lowering notes. I can take this B note here, and then I can raise it to a C note by 1 fret, and then I get a D half diminished 7th chord, and now I'm gonna play again C, then F, then D half diminished, and then you can hear that this D half diminished takes me back to C. Wonderful, it works, and the last possibility I am left with is to raise this F note here to an F sharp note, okay? This gives me, or a G flat if you prefer, this gives me an A flat half diminished 7th, and it will sound this way. Again, I'm gonna play C, then F major, then this A flat half diminished 7th, then C. I changed the voicing of C because this note is raising up, and I want to go F in the F chord. Actually, I want to go the E of the C major chord, F of the F major chord, this G flat on this A half diminished 7th, and then the G of the C major chord. So I form this kind of chromatic line. Okay, so. And you hear this chord again takes me back there. Even if among all of them, this is the one with less pull back to the C major. Now you see me spelling out all those chords this way, but the beauty of it is that you don't really need to spell out any chord, because you just need to take your B diminished 7th chord, play it anywhere, and again, you can play it here, and you can move up or down 3 frets, and it's still the same chord. And there are several different positions for this chord if you want. There is these, and there's these. Okay, the more positions you know for the B diminished 7th chord, the more possibility you have. But then again, you don't have to spell any of those chords. You just take this B diminished 7th chord and raise or lower one note, and then you get one chord that takes you back to this C major chord. Okay, and you don't need to spell it out. You just try on the guitar fretboard until you find a sound you like. And now you have a grand total of 1 diminished 7th chord, the B diminished 7th, 4 dominant chord, the one you get when you lower one of those notes, 4 half-diminished 7th chord, the one you get when you raise one of those notes. And you have a grand total of 9 chords that can take you back to C major just by looking at your fretboard. So no complex theory involved, no big math, no thinking, tritone substitution, backdoor cadence, borrowing from minor, secondary dominants, chromatic alteration, none of those. It's just one diminished chord, alter it, bam, it works every single time. Now, if you like understanding harmony and music theory this way, straight on your fretboard in a very visual way and in an immediately applicable way, then I do recommend you guys check out my course Complete Chord Mastery, where I do these kind of things in a much more complete way with all the details written down step by step with practical exercises so that you can understand everything in every single detail in the correct order. Okay, and then at the end you're left with this intuitive visual understanding of the fretboard. Check out Complete Chord Mastery at the link on the top right. If you like these videos, smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, otherwise YouTube will not let you know when I put up a new video. It's strange, but it is this way. So click on the notification bell, and if you have any questions about this video or any other video, write it down in the comment and I will answer those questions. This is Tommaso Ziglia of musictheoryforguitar.com, and until next time, enjoy!